It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. Ha! Jesse. It's Feedback Friday. And yeah, I took a break Wednesday and Thursday, in part because of my eyes, in part because I had more rewrites to do post E3 than I thought I would. Not because the work was bad, because the work was too good, and some got bumped up to, the concepts got bumped up to a greater word length, so I basically had to write double the stuff. But also because some of the comments to Monday's video about when to walk away made me need to walk away. And there's the unfortunate thing is I've realized there's no point in even getting into why. And this is the sad thing, because people who have watched this channel for a while know that I have incredible benefit of the doubt when it comes to gamers. I just assume that gamers are good people. And if you're here in my channel and you're interested in my content, you are a good person. I just naturally assume that. And so some behaviors I really don't understand. And a behavior I particularly do not understand is why someone would continue to do something that someone has said they don't like, use of a certain word, doing a certain thing, in an attempt to toughen them up. And I know that it's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of shared experience, that there are some times that is reasonable. There are certain requirements for certain jobs that, yes, you either can do them or find another job. But there are other things that people shouldn't be expected to just have to deal with. And unprofessional conduct in a work environment, especially in the arts like games, that is just a non-starter for me. I feel very, very strongly about that. And there were a few comments and a few ongoing things where someone continued to insist on using the word I said I didn't like in a professional setting, and it really pissed me off. And so I didn't see how I could continue without that being pissed off, lacing into the other content I was doing this week, and that's not fair to you guys. Part of it is I've got a short fuse because of my eyes. You can see they're still kind of cracked out. I'm not wearing sunglasses to do this, but you see I've got the lights down fairly low. It is irritating. I mean, this feeling like you constantly have sand or shampoo in your eyes is just, it's driving me crazy. And so, yeah, I have a shorter fuse. And that's when people start going, take a break, walk away, all that stuff. And I do, but at some point you have to come back. And what do you do at that point we have to come back? Hello, Momo. Have you come back? You gonna come up, buddy? Excuse me, cat break.
Come on, Momo.
There's Momo. Here's Momo. Yeah, baby. Okay. So, you know, what do you do when you come back? Do you address the issue, or do you just pretend like it didn't happen? I am not a big fan of pretending things didn't happen, because that never makes anything better, right? But you do take a risk of being ridiculed all over again when you say, please don't do that, I don't like it. Now, I am a big fan of setting the example of saying, please don't do that, I don't like that, because we're not just run-of-the-mill people, we're gamers, and there's a lot of bullying in the histories, the backstories of gamers, not to refer to gamers as fictional characters, but, you know, a lot of gamers have bullying in their past. And so that's why I feel so strongly about boundaries and limits, and I talk about them a lot. And I think that's especially because we're dealing with industry growing pains and the sort of intersection point of art and sociology and all of these social issues. I think that it's important to be respectful to each other in professional environments, so the art has the freedom to do and say anything it wants to, even if it's offensive. I think it's exceptionally important that we show as an industry we know time and place, because I don't want things mentally cleansed for the so-called greater good. I don't believe that's the greater good, because in my experience, in those paradigms, the first people that get shut down are the less sort of socially acceptable people that need the help the most. And adorable kitty cats. Right, Momo? Here we go. Yeah, Momo is love. Yes. This is a strange little interlude in this video. And so, it is a non-starter with me, the idea that people should just get over certain words. No. In the long term, I wish we didn't have the social issues that made words sting quite so much. But the reality is, everybody has stuff they don't like. And it's different. There's a difference between saying that something is inherently offensive or inherently bad and makes you evil, and respecting someone enough when they say they don't like something to stop doing it. I think those are fundamentally different things. One is a moral debate. One is a consideration issue. Does that make sense? And that gets me to the second part I wanted to address today, because somebody asked a pretty valid question, and I realized maybe this is the core of the issue. You know, someone said I called somebody a bitch at work once. Does this make me a bad person? And it made me realize this is the zero-sum game we're dealing with in this industry, where people can't separate doing a bad thing from being a bad person. And so the short answer is no, it doesn't make you a bad person. It means you did a bad thing. And I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat the fact that calling a coworker a nasty name because you're mad at them is a bad thing. We all do it, but that doesn't make it wrong. Now, the thing is that it doesn't make someone, sum total on the whole, a bad person. You know, people have good points, people have bad points, and no one's perfect. And I think that the problem in gaming has been, for too long, somebody says something unpopular, not even does a bad thing, says something unpopular, and they're branded by that. And some people, because they need to, you know, the whole virtue signaling thing, because people are so interested in showing what good people they are, they burn someone else at the stake, you know, on the altar of showing that they are progressive and an ally. And I don't think that attacking someone and judging the whole of their character over one exchange, especially on something like Twitter, is progressive thinking at all. I don't think it's especially logical. I think it's a tactic. I think it's an extension of the really nasty political and culture war that's going on. I don't think it's mature, and I don't think it's fair. And so, if you murder someone, you're probably a bad person. You know, if you steal just because you can, you're probably a bad person. Even these have caveats. I mean, you think of the story of Les Miserables, where, you know, Jean Valjean was branded for life for stealing a loaf of bread. You know, I think if you murder in cold blood, you're a bad person. That's different than self-defense, right? But I know a lot of really good people who have hang-ups I find unfortunate on certain issues. Sometimes it's due to age, sometimes it's due to upbringing, but to dismiss them as just a bad person because they have one thing that makes you uncomfortable, I think you're really shutting yourself off for the world if you judge people so narrowly. Now, does that mean people should just throw up their hands at some point and go, this is who I am, there's no changing me, I'm just an asshole, and I'm just going to go around offending everybody? If you're going around and deliberately offending people, that is not a good way to win friends and influence people. You know, if you're seeking to offend, then, you know, hello, Momo, you've got no one but yourself to blame if people think you're a jerk. And that's not, you notice again, that's not a moral thing, that's just a cause and effect thing. And you know, wouldn't you rather be hugged by adorable kitty cats? Yeah, that's Momo's job. As you can see, Momo has not yet quite recovered from me being away for a week. This is happening on a fairly regular basis. Every time I sit down, he's like, love me, you were gone. But yeah, so that's sort of my answer to that is no, doing a bad thing doesn't make you a bad person. I would hope that people would take, you know, hearing that they possibly did a bad thing as an opportunity to improve. A lot of people don't get it on the first try, and that's totally fine. I just think that people are good people who strive to be better people every day. And that doesn't mean you actively have to, like, keep a chart. It's just you go into the day with good intent, and you're self-aware, and you're willing to hear if maybe you could have done something differently. And that's one of the things that really frustrates me about people who decide to bait with naughty words or things that are deliberately inflammatory, because I really want to hear from you guys, and I really want to get feedback, and I really want to know what you're thinking. I don't want to have to walk away from YouTube for 2 days because I was so infuriated because of a lack of respect. Again, not a moral thing, not objecting on moral grounds, objecting on a lack of respect. And that is critical. If someone you know personally, or someone whose content you appreciate, if there is someone in your life who you want to continue to communicate with, and they tell you to stop doing something, just try to stop doing it. And that doesn't mean you're a horrible person if you slip and do it again, but at least try. Don't justify your God-given right to continue to do something that bothers another human being. That's not considerate, that's not compassionate, and that's not respectful. And that's what I'm really talking about with this stuff. It's not about the inherent morality of words. It's not about whether someone is a good or a bad person. It's whether a particular exchange is respectful of everyone involved, and whether it's an environment that is encouraging and setting an example of open and productive dialogue. And that's why I started doing this stuff. That's why I started doing the work I do, because people said they wanted more dialogue. And so I am going to stick to that, and I'm not going to just let that go because it's the easy thing to do. I'm here telling you guys that this was unacceptable, and it irritated me, and it irritates me because things like that mean I have to take steps, and I have to figure out the step that is going to negatively impact the least number of people. And I don't like coming back to a discussion where I see people fighting for comments after comments after comments, because I think about the time people wasted doing that. Because unfortunately on the internet, you never know if somebody's just being a troll or not, right? And so that's sort of my thoughts on it. I hope that answered the question about if I do a bad thing, I don't do it, or am I a bad person? Because I realize that's probably what comes down to the defensiveness and the reactiveness, is people think that they do a bad thing once, and that brands them a bad person. And if that's true, then everyone on this planet is a bad person, right? That's just an impossible standard to live up to. And I hope that people have not given up trying to be good or trying to be better or trying to understand things because they've been branded as a horrible person by some stupid corner of the internet that seems much bigger when you're being bombarded by them on Twitter, but really they're quite small. And that goes back to the original thing I was getting at of if you find a group of people that you really don't find fun to hang out with, just walk away, don't fight with them. Because the gaming world's a great big place. And, you know, if you're locked in this death spiral with people who think you're terrible, you're spending your energy there instead of going out and finding the people who appreciate you. And that's just a waste of time. And that's what I was trying to say in the original video before some people took it in another direction. And I don't want it to sound like the majority because there were very few dislikes on that video. I mean, most people got it. But I just, that one question of if I do a bad thing, does it make me a bad person, made me realize that this was a good Feedback Friday topic, because one person asked it but I realize that perhaps this is something that more people need to hear. So for the person who took the risk and asked that question, thank you. And Binky is shaking the table. So for the weekend, a little bit more Momo. Hey, Momo. Hey. He's looking at Binky because Binky's on the table. Momo, don't look so grumpy. Come on, Mo. Come on, Mo. There we go. Oh, here comes Binky. Oh. Come on, Bink. Yeah. Okay. Happy weekend, everybody.